Hey there everyone, this is the 4th installment to the Haunted House on the Hill series. This is going to pick up pretty much right after when we left the house on the 3rd video. So I'm going to go ahead and just get right on into it so I can try to fit it all into this video, and this will be the last of the series. So, after seeing that black shape figure in that window, that burned woman, we were, all talking about it on the way home. We were freaked out. It was probably like 1 or 2 in the morning, and we were just all just like, what in the world was that? Just kind of freaked out a little bit because that was a spooky thing. And then all the other occurrences that was going on, the doors slamming, all that stuff, we were trying to figure out, how does this all make sense? How does this all connect? And I actually had a dream that night. When I got home, and got into my bed, I had, it's just hard to kind of say because it's just one of those really freaky experiences. And if you've watched some of my other videos, I've mentioned that I've had this type of experience before, but it's basically a sleep paralysis type feeling when you wake up and you feel like something's holding you down and you can't move and you can't breathe and you're just struggling to stay alive, really. I mean, you feel like you're like dying, or you feel like something is got a hold of you. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had this dream that I was in the house and I was basically by myself. I was walking up the stairs towards the balcony, and I remember, after the dream I was thinking, why in the world would I walk back up there? Because we hadn't gone back up there since we saw that burned pentagram on the ground. So in the dream I'm walking up there, and as I get to, the steps go up and then like a flat piece and then it turns and goes up. I don't know how you describe that. It's like just a staircase that goes up, turns, and then goes back up like that way. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so as I step up onto that platform to get ready to turn, to get ready to go up to the next spot, I felt this hand on my shoulder. Now this is a dream, I felt this hand on my shoulder, and when I turned around, right as I turned around, that's when I woke up. My eyes open, and when I opened my eyes, oh God, I felt and saw this shadow shape, black shape, a shadow of that woman standing over me, over my body, with her hands on my shoulders, and I just couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I remember just thinking, how am I going to get out of this? Thinking, what have I done? What is going on? And that is all I can remember on that. I just remember the next day I woke up and I was pretty scared. Most people would be. Because if you've had a sleep paralysis experience or woken up with some sort of spirit over your body holding you down and you have no control, that feeling of no control is a pretty scary feeling, because there's really nothing you can do about it when you're in, that sort of situation. So that's the dream that I had the night we came back from that house. Now we go back out to the house again, 2 more times. That's right, 2 more times. Okay, so when we go back out there the next weekend after that dream, I had talked to my friends. I had told them about the dream. One of my friends said they had a similar dream like that. I'm not going to go into all the detail again with that because it was similar to what I had. I'll just say that. So we were all kind of like experiencing this same kind of feel from this house. Like, I don't know if the spirit was released from the home or what happened. Or if we just, it was so built up from being in the home that we were just scared to death and scared ourselves to dream something so scary. But the sleep paralysis thing makes you know that it was some kind of weird, scary experience, because you can't imagine that. You can't imagine that you're being held down and almost literally like being choked and stuff like that. You can't imagine stuff like that. So that was a real experience that I and a friend of mine had. So anyway, back to it. The next weekend, 3 of us go back out there. We don't go in the house this time. We decide we're just going to sit on the front porch and play the board. So that's what we did. We got the board out, lit some candles, placed our hands on the board. We asked if anyone was with us. It said yes. We asked it, is there anything you want to tell us? And after a few minutes, it was just spinning around, and it said yes. And we asked, okay, what is it, you know? And it spelled soon, S-O-O-N. And we asked, we like kind of looked at each other like, oh my God, soon for what, you know? What is soon? And it said, it spelt free, F-R-E-E. So we're thinking, you're soon going to be free? And it says yes. So we're sitting here looking at each other like, oh my God, what is, you know, we asked like, who are we speaking with? And it told us it was talking to the little boy, Philip, that we you know, I mentioned before. It said that we were speaking with him, and that he was, you know, basically going to be free soon. And we're just looking at each other like, what in the world is this about, you know? I mean, we're trying to, you know, we're just trying to understand, you know. And then while we're like kind of thinking, and we still got our hands on the board, we hear this little like clicking sound like inside the house, and we know no one's in there, you know. No, there's no other cars, and there's just no one probably in there, you know. But anyway, we hear this like little clicking sound, kind of like the bracelet sound. And we're kind of looking at each other, kind of starting to get a little spooked out, wondering, you know, what is going on here. You know, just kind of got that eerie kind of spooked feel. And you know, so we kind of we look towards the home, you know, because we're on the porch. It had a kind of like a little porch and stuff. Anyway, we're just sitting there, and after we hear that, and we're looking towards the home, we start to hear this other sound coming from the distance over in the yard, like over in kind of like where a lot of trees and bushes and things like that are all grown up. So we looked in that direction, and as we looked in that direction, we started to see this shape. And I mean, I know this just sounds so mind-blowing, and I swear there was a lot of activity that went on in that home, and it's just crazy. I mean, really, this could almost be made into a movie. I mean, it feels like a movie. We look over there and we see it. We start to see this shadow shape, and this shadow shape looks like, you can't really make it out, but what it appears to take shape as is a man, a figure of a shadowed man digging. Okay, I know it sounds freaking crazy. Okay, now he's digging. Alright, now this is the strange part. Right before we saw him digging, we saw this lantern in his hand. So he has this lantern in his hand, and you know, this is what it's all taking this shape, and he's standing there with this lantern in his hand. You know, I'm trying to remember all this in my mind here. And he had this lantern in his hand. You could see it because you could see like the shape of it, you know, and almost like a glow coming out, you know, like if this was all just one shape of a spirit type of thing, with the item also being in spirit shape. It wasn't like physical form of a lantern. Anyway, so we see him kind of like place it like as if he hung it on a branch or something like that, and then starts, it's just wild, but we start to see this shape doing this shoveling motion, like, you know, digging in and digging out, digging in, digging out. And so we're just sitting there just staring at this and all like, oh my God, do we need to get out of here? And I was thinking, you know, I really don't feel like this isn't anything dark here. It doesn't feel like it, like the dream was. This felt like there was a message that we needed to get out of this. So we hung tight and just kept watching. And this lasted maybe, it seemed like it lasted like 5 or 10 minutes, but in reality, it probably only lasted maybe 2 to 3 minutes, possibly. It just seemed like it went on forever. Like we felt like we were watching this for like 30 minutes or something. So after we saw this digging motion, and you know, my idea was it wanted us to be aware of what was going on here with the digging motion, because after we were all really paying attention, it slowly started to just dissipate, you know, and fade away. So I was thinking, oh my God, you know, and we decide later that we want to come out to that spot again, because we want to check the place out. We want to check that area out where it was digging, because we were thinking, you know, there may be a message over there. Yeah. So I meant to mention this, but before we saw the shape, we heard this old truck horn, like one of those really old 1920s car horns, like hooga. I mean, I know I probably sounded so retarded doing that. Okay, so that's what it basically. So that's basically what it sounded like. I will see if I can find a clip to that and play it for you, because I didn't pull one up. I didn't get one up on my phone, because I have actually mentioned this in a video before a long time ago, and I don't think that video is up anymore. So what I'll do is I will add in that truck horn sound. If I can find one on the internet, I will place it right here. Okay, so now that you've heard that sound, that was really freaky to hear that, because, you know, as you know, this is an older home. No one was out there, and I don't know if that's related to any of this or not. It really did seem like it was ghost related, because there was no vehicle like that in sight. We didn't hear any vehicle. We just all of a sudden heard that sound, and that car horn sound, we heard it on the porch, and it sounded like it was in the backyard of the home. So yeah, that was extremely freaky. Yeah, so on the ride home that night, we are discussing in the vehicle what all this could possibly mean. And so here's a theory that we came up with. Originally, the board had told us that there was five spirits that died in the home. So we just assumed it was, since we saw the man with the lantern, possibly a man. We know it was a little boy. We also know that it was the burned woman, which could have been the mom, or it may have been a spirit that had resided in the home before that family moved in. So we'll say the dad, the burned woman, the boy, possibly the mom, and then the dog. Because when we went back the next day, there's so much to try to fit in here, but when we went back the next day and looked in that spot, we didn't find anything in that area. All we found was an old doghouse, and it was like kind of like in this old fenced-in area. Okay, kind of just in all these trees and things were growing up through it, so you could tell it hadn't been used in a long time. I mean, this was an old wood doghouse. So it was this old doghouse and this old dog bow that was in that area. That's all we saw. The dog bow was like tumped over, and that's all we saw there in that area, until, you know, I started looking around. I was like moving leaves around, because we couldn't figure out the exact spot, obviously, because it was in the dark and we saw it from the distance, so we didn't know exactly what spot this was coming from. But as I was moving these leaves around and just looking around, I started to see something kind of, you know, sparkling down there on the ground, and I reached down and I grabbed it, and it was I'm not going to say what state, but it was a state, like the shape of the state that we reside in, and it had the name of the state on it. It was a pen, like one of those stick pens that you wear on your shirt, not like a writing pen, but just a pen. And I was like, oh my God, you know, this is kind of cool. So I kept that. I couldn't find it. I was going to try to find it and show in this video. I don't know where it is right now. Probably still in the attic or something, so I wasn't able to show that to you, and I'm sorry that I couldn't. But then if I did, it would have given everything away from where all this goes on at. So yeah, but it was really cool. I should still have it, but yeah, that's what I found there. And yeah, just some crazy stuff that went on in that place, I'll tell you. And you know, we never actually got any more EVPs that night when we were playing on the porch. The burned woman never showed back up. So, you know, it's still kind of a mystery to a certain extent, because here's the thing, and this is the most freakiest thing ever. That day when we went back out there to check that area, when we pulled up, that house was gone. Literally gone. Torn down to nothing. There was nothing standing. Like, I don't even think the foundation was even there anymore. And there was this big, like, diesel style truck thing, big, huge, like, dumpster, yeah, I guess, full of little pieces of this house. I'm talking like sizes, this, like small chunks of wood, just broken down into the smallest pieces that you could ever imagine a house to ever be broke down into, full in this dumpster bin. And I'm like just standing there in shock. And you know, while we're standing there, and I'm just standing there in awe looking at this dumpster where the house was, just not understanding this at all, you know, thinking in my mind, you know, is that digging that we saw that may have been like kind of like an ending to something, like kind of burying something in the ground, like ending the tragedy, and maybe the house being torn down was part of this ending. I mean, I don't know. I just had all these thoughts run through my head. And I saw this man start walking up through the back. And, you know, I'm just standing there like, oh my God, you know, I hope we don't get in trouble. I don't know what he's going to say or do. And he just walked up and was like, pretty nice. He was like, hey, I live next door. This whole house just got torn down, and started going, just talking and stuff. And he basically was saying that it got torn down because it was unsafe. Kids kept coming out there, and it just was really, you know, unsafe for people to be at. And the man that originally owned it was like living in California or something, and he just wanted to go ahead and get rid of it. He didn't want to try to sell it or fix it up or anything. He just wanted to kind of just sell it, rebuild on the area, and make his money or whatever. So that's basically what the man told us. And I just told him we were out riding around, and because, you know, this house on the hill was at the end of the street, so it was like a dead-end road. And this house was, you know, like you would go to the end of the street and then go up a hill, and then that's where the house sat, and the neighbor was like down at the end of the hill. So, you know, pretty close together, but not too close, not like side-by-side neighborhood style. It's kind of like, well, you know, that's irrelevant. Anyway, that's kind of like how it was positioned. And I just told him that we were out riding around and got lost and saw this, and just, you know, just thought it looked like a cool area. I don't really know what I told him. I just made up something. He didn't really care and seemed to think anything of it. And he didn't ask if we were the ones coming out there, so thank God, because I wouldn't have said we were anyway. But anyway, it's just real mystery, you know, and still to this day, it's still somewhat of a mystery, because there's really no true answers that came from it. The only thing I can do is theorize, you know, on what I think happened. And, you know, the one thing that I feel is really strong that is a truth is that the digging and then the house being torn down was all part of that process that the spirit had mentioned to us the few nights before, when it told us it was free, or soon it'll be free. So I think possibly the digging, because that was putting an end, burying something, ending something, and then the house being torn down obviously meant that freed the spirits that were there. Like, they were no longer trapped. Like, it ended it. So with that in mind, that's what I was thinking. You know, that's what I felt strongly about. I figured this is just the theory I'm going to go with, and because I just felt strongly about it. And so that's why me and my friend, we got back to my home, we decided we would go out in the yard and get that burn barrel and burn that house, because I figured, you know, burning it would take it back to its roots, because that's how originally, you know, I guess where everything started maybe was whatever happened with the burning of the house. Because I don't know if I mentioned this, but I know I had mentioned that I saw that burned lady face. I think that was like in the first video, in the closet. And there was other spots in the house that also looked burned as well. Like parts of the wall. Like, it almost looked like it had been painted over, or someone tried to cover it up or something. Like, I just don't know. And I wish I had the address of that home, because I never wrote it down back then. I never took any pictures, because I would like to do a little bit more research on it, especially now with the technology and everything with the internet, and how you can really find a lot of information. So yeah, we took them boards out there to that burn pit, and we caught them on fire and burned it to nothing, and just watched it all go. And you know, it felt like a really peaceful, right thing to do. I felt like it would be wrong of me to hold on to that board, specifically because of the fact that the way things went down, basically, I didn't want to hold on to that just in case, like, the burned woman could have, like, imprinted herself in that board, and then who knows what could have happened, you know. I just figured, and, you know, a lot of people will say this, I've done this in the past, burning a board, you know, kind of rids out anything that may have attached itself to that board. But, you know, it's kind of like mixed, you know, there was dark entity experiences there. There was also the little boy light, and then maybe the father experiences that were better. So, yeah, I mean, that's just basically how it went. And, you know, burning it, you know, it's like, it just had to be done. You know, I just feel like if I wouldn't have burned it, something may have happened, or something could have started up. That's what I knew. I knew that burning this board and getting rid of this board will contribute to the being free part, and just putting everything in the past, and everyone or everything that was associated with the home and that board are all free now. All free. And have moved on, so to speak. And, you know, in a way, I think that, you know, all of us going out there, like I told you, I was going out there a lot. I was taking a lot of people out there. There was a lot of noises going on. The cops, you know, came out there, obviously. All these things, I feel like, contributed to the helping of the freeing of these spirits. Because had we not been going out there all the time, and had we not been loud and all these different people coming out there, had we not been doing that, that house may have never been torn down. And then the spirits could have still been stuck and not been able to be freed. And after burning that board, everything really felt complete then. It felt like it's what was needed to be done. I just feel like it let everything go out the way it was intended to go out. You know, like it just... Sometimes I still wish I still had that board, just simply because I had made it and I had spent so much time on it, and I don't know, I felt an attachment to that board. But, you know, I felt like it was probably for the best to go ahead and get rid of it, of course, because anytime you feel an attachment, you know, to especially a Ouija board or spirit board or any type of object maybe that you have found somewhere, you know, that's something you might want to look into, because that could be, it could be the beginning of something dangerous. I mean, you just never know, right? It's because there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on out there in this world. So just let me know what you think of this series, if you enjoyed it. I know that I've enjoyed sharing this story with you. It was, you know, a big experience for me in my life. I do have some other things planned, especially this one about the haunted mountain. I don't know if I'll call it the haunted mountain, but it's this mountain that we used to go out to all the time. And oh my God, I've got some stories to share at this place, and a lot of other upcoming stories as well. So yeah, post a comment below and let me know any of your ghost stories, or let me know what you think. So yeah, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all next time. Bye.